So now we've got our domain name registered, we've set up hosting, we've installed WordPress, we've installed our theme. So my next step in my process is creating a logo. So when I create a logo, you can create a logo from scratch, but a shortcut is to go find a great pre-designed something logo from Creative Market. That's where we're going. So at this point, open up creativemarket.com and start searching. So since we're doing a bakery, I'm gonna just type in cupcake. And I might find, a simple illustration. There's a lot of things to choose from. There's even, this one says 15 bakery cupcake logos for $15. I look through here and let's just grab one of these simple ones like this. We're spending $5 to get something. We'll add some custom font to this, some colors, and it'll make it our own. If you don't already have a Creative Market account, I suggest getting one. They are awesome for all kinds of graphics, fonts, and the prices can't be beat. And this is another one of those secret sauce items that I didn't know for years. I knew about ThemeForest, I knew about iStock Photo, and then somehow I stumbled upon Creative Market one day and it was a whole new world of possibilities. So you download your files and there's two options here. You could design a logo in Illustrator, you can design a logo in Photoshop. When I first started doing design, I started using Photoshop because it allowed me to edit photos and also create logos and everything. So for a long time, I didn't know how to use Illustrator. So I think for the ease of use for the end user, I'm going to use Photoshop to start this process with. And we'll do a tutorial on Illustrator later, but this is the fast and quick way of doing this. So I looked through my different cupcake styles here and I'm going to choose one that I think is a good fit. I think I like the second one here. And if you're like me, I will oftentimes spend a lot of time just looking, and I won't just like focus in. And so you can waste a lot of time not just focusing in on something. You don't want it to be, you don't want to spend too much time searching, but at the same time, there's got to be a good balance there. So I have to rein it in sometimes. I could spend 7-8 hours just trying to find the right art, and sometimes just dialing it in quick is a better solution. So as you saw there, I have Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, then I highly recommend you purchase a Creative Cloud license for it. The great thing about Photoshop and Creative Cloud is it comes with, if you get Creative Cloud, you get all of the Adobe products. And so you'll get Illustrator, you'll get Photoshop, you'll get Dreamweaver. For these purposes, we really only need Illustrator and Photoshop, and really you could get away with just using Photoshop. But I really like Illustrator for doing vector art files, and so if you want to go that route for larger projects, it's a really great tool to have. So I've already had Photoshop open. Even if you didn't, you could take your file and just drag it into Photoshop and it would open up this file like this. So I have my cupcake here and I'm going to take it and I'll do Control A, select all. And the reason I'm selecting all is that right now it's really big and it's much bigger than what I need. And when you go to create a logo for websites, nowadays because of the multiple devices, desktop, WordPress has a built-in option for, and it's not just WordPress, it's actually the theme, the Aveda theme has an option for Retina files, and so you have to create two size logos. So when I'm doing a logo, I normally, because I've done it so much, I kind of have a general idea of what the size needs to be, and so I'm going to make it 400 pixels in width by 200 in height, and this is going to be my Retina logo. I start with the larger one and then I make the second one just half that size. So the resolution down here also matters, and so I'm going to change that to 72. And the reason is this is for web and we don't need high resolution because then your graphics are bigger and they weigh the site down and you want things to load quickly. And site speed is important because Google ranks sites and gives them a higher score based on how fast they load. So site speed is important. So I go back here, and it might just be easier, instead of opening that other file and trying to copy and paste it, is just to open this back up. I oftentimes have multiples of these Finder windows open, and so I gotta close them, and just drag this onto this screen here. So there's my cupcake right there. And then I want to give myself a little bit of space on here, but not much. I like to have these things to the very edge because this logo is going to end up on the very edge of whatever your page width is within WordPress. And so if you were to create this logo and I put it over here, I have this white space, and I like everything to be in line whenever I'm creating a design. And a little side note, when you're creating design, there's a book called The Non-Designer's Guide to Design, and I'll put that in the resources and on the website. But she talks about contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity are the basics for great design. So alignment is very important whenever we're creating a design. So I throw that in here because I'm gonna make this a Gorilla Bakery. I'm going to leave the colors more dark. And so I'm gonna actually just do a color overlay. And I like dark grays, so I'm just gonna choose, one of my favorite grays is hexa, it's just all 2s in the hex, so there's 6 of them here. And these are my colors here, and this is my hex number. If you were to go out to the web, you could look up different hex colors, but you can also just choose your colors here, and you'll see the hex change down here. But I'm gonna choose this 22222. I think that was right. There's 6 2s there. And click OK. And it's gonna look like it's almost the exact same color, which is totally fine. And then I will go in here and I will choose golden. And now my font's huge, so I just select it all. You can drop this down and choose a different font size. That's 12. But if you hover over Photoshop over these 2 T's, it creates this little dragging area, and I can just drag this back and forth and makes it bigger, which is much easier to adjust my size exactly what I want it to be. So I type in golden here, and then really the fact that the matter is this is a bakery, and so I like the emphasis to be on whatever the business is. And so Golden Gorilla are just adjectives describing the fact that this is a bakery, so I want the fact that it's bakery to pop. So I'm gonna say Golden Gorilla, and then below I will change the font up to be something a little more scripty. And I'll put bakery here, and I will drop this down, and I might choose something like Inisala, which is a nice, simple font. And this isn't, obviously we're not spending a ton of time creating this logo. This is a quick mock-up, but you can see you don't have to do a whole lot to come up with something that's unique and your own. So you can play with that. Maybe change up the colors. If this is gonna be golden, I might make this a little more gold color. And sometimes whenever I'm creating something and I don't know what I wanna do with my colors, I will go to Adobe Color is a website, and I just go type in, since I think it's adobe.color or something. I just type in Adobe Color. And it has this color, it's color.adobe.com. And it has all these, I don't really need to start a tour, but it has all these great color palettes already picked out for you. And you can go to Explore, right here at the top, Explore. And it has all these amazing color palettes. Well, since I chose Golden Gorilla, I might choose this color palette right here, and it has these hex colors in there already for me. And all these work together. So whenever you're designing a site, you usually need a handful of colors to make it look cohesive. I've seen a number of times where I've visited a site and the logo's purple and this other color down here might be maroon, and then there's some teal, and it just doesn't have a good flow. So if you use a nice, color palette chooser, it really can help you create a nice cohesive feel. So we have our basic font set up. We're changing out some colors, but this still doesn't really feel like the gorilla is being emphasized here. So I kind of got my process going on this logo, and I'm like, you know what I want? I want to add a gorilla to it. So I'm going to go back to Creative Market, and once again, the Adobe Color's there for you anytime you need it, and lots of options there. We can come back to that later. But I'm going to find me a gorilla. Now, if you're a great illustrator, you might want to draw your own gorilla. I am not a great illustrator. I can illustrate stuff, but there's certain things that I can't draw, and some things that I can. And so I might go here and just find a gorilla and then modify it. That's actually what I'm better at, is finding some stuff and then modifying it and customizing it, making my own. So I like this gorilla, and I think that I really like this gorilla. Yeah, let's go with this gorilla here. Sometimes a logo you might charge somebody $250 to $1,000 for, and this might only be just a small element of it, of the overall logo design. So I've downloaded my gorilla, and this is in an Illustrator file, and so you can just drag an Illustrator file into here as well, and it's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna give you all this extra stuff that you don't necessarily need. But the cool thing is you just click that. Whenever I dragged it in here, it dragged it in as a vector file, and so I can't modify it right now, but if I right click over here on this panel, it says Gorilla Black right there. I just tell it to rasterize layer. And now I can go in here and delete this bottom portion that I don't need. Okay. Now I take this gorilla and I put it here, and then move over this font. And then I take my cupcake, and I'm just gonna take my cupcake and put it up. It's like this. So this is now above him, and I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna do color overlay. Actually, I'm gonna leave that alone. Since it's golden gorilla, I'm actually gonna make the gorilla golden. And I can click on this. I can actually just sample a color that I've already used. And I'm like, I don't necessarily like that color in that big of a shade, but I don't mind it being a little lighter like that. That's a little more golden. So I take that. There's my gorilla. Here's my cupcake. I can select it, and I'm just gonna put it on its arm like it's a tattoo. Just something subtle. Doesn't have to be over the top. And sometimes whenever you move something like that and make it smaller, it's gonna get hard to see. So the reality is I don't even necessarily have to put the cupcake on there, since the word baker is gonna be on there. And I like to keep things simple, because if this was to go on a shirt or something smaller, they wouldn't see that on there anyway. But if I decided to make this bigger, I could always add a cupcake or something I could tattoo. So I'm like, you know what? I don't like that. I like it better like this. As far as this bakery goes, since this is Gorilla, I may or may not want to use the script. And so I might just go ahead and put it back to the Molot. I think it was the name of the font. It was Molot Regular. So it's Golden Gorilla Bakery. I want to change that color. So I can double click on this over here, and I can do a color overlay, and it makes it the same color as the gorilla, because that was the last color that I used. But I could also, if I didn't do it that way with the color overlay, I could have just selected this here and went back over here to this color and chose that and selected that. So take this. If I do click on that, I can just drag this out to where these things are all the same size. If we had a lot of time, I might play with this and put the golden gorilla on top of this gorilla in some way. I might would stylize it a little bit more by adding some stars, or even something as simple as established 2020 right below here. We've all seen this probably done before. I can make this smaller. Something else that's important is contrast, alignment, proximity. So alignment, I want to make sure that these are all centered up. So I center this one kind of in a general idea this logo, this one here, I have to put center here. I'm going to drag it back over. And then I will take this here and I'll do the same thing. And basically all I'm doing is telling this, hey, I want these fonts to be centered. And right here is where I can center, left justify, center, or right justify. So I center it and it moves it over, which is a hassle, but moving forward, I can work with it better. Also, when you center something, there's a little dot right here in the middle where it's centered. So now I can go view, and I can tell that I need a new guide, and I'm going to make it vertical, and it's going to drop this guide right here. I can't drag this guide right now because I'm selected on this text option on my toolbar over here. But if I go back up here to these arrows, I click on it, I can drag it over, and now then I can click on my text, and I can just center these up on it. Another thing that you can do is if you're here, I can go to Golden Gorilla, this Established 2020, and where's my other font here, or the text? Oh, Bakery right there. And there's this alignment tools right up here. I didn't know about these alignment tools forever, and I really wish that I had known that they existed. When I click on that, it's gonna make sure that they're aligned. If I was to click over here, it would move them over and make them left justified. If I click it here, it makes them all right justified. But if I do this, it centers everything up. So adding this horizontal line was one way of centering them, but using this justification tools is also really great to use. So in order to add just a little bit more balance to this logo, I'm going to draw a little line right here to make this have a little bit more dimension to it, a little more style. Choose this. I will drag this over. You don't want it to be too cramped. Something else that's important when you're doing design is making sure things aren't too cramped. Now I want that color to be black as well because the Established 2020 is black. And so I will do a color overlay on that bar, and then I'll just choose that. And I said black, it's really that dark gray that almost looks black, but there's that. When I'm creating bars like this, sometimes I want to drag and drop something, but then I don't know if they're aligned or not. So I just do a duplicate layer. So it duplicates that layer right there. And then oftentimes I'm not the best about changing up the names. I just get in a hurry. And so this says rectangle 1 copy. And I'll just be like, okay, that's good. And then I hit shift and the right arrow, and I just move it over. That way I know it's in the same alignment as it was before. And then I eyeball a lot of times. If I'm really concerned about alignment, I might drag this over and kind of get a look at it. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty close. I might need to do one more click over to the left. Same thing with this. See how that bar is just a little bit off there. So I know I can click on this bar here and I can go bump and just, that's perfect. And then I go back over here and I click on that. And then I'm like, okay, that needs to be bumped over just a little bit so that those are right at the edge. And that's close enough. I like things to be pretty spot on, but at the same time, I don't want to be too crazy. So, all right, there's that. Now, I feel like this gorilla needs to be just moved down a little bit, maybe a little bit over, so we give him some room to breathe. And now we have kind of a very masculine, if this was gonna be my bakery, this is kind of more of a logo that I'd create for it. I would love to do really masculine, manly desserts that were big and over the top and just kind of fun. I love to bake, love to cook. At one time I actually auditioned for Food Network Star Season 11. It's out on YouTube if you ever wanna find it. That audition tape is. So, got my logo, it's all set up. What I want to do is I want to take off the extra space on here that I don't need, the extra padding, I guess you would call this, because I want my logo, I want to be able to manage all of that spacing within the theme, and so I don't need extra spacing on this. Also, the background, you just saw me take it off quickly without explaining what I did. But whenever you first set up your palette here within Photoshop, your canvas, your artboard, this background was chosen and it's white. Well, we're gonna make this a PNG so that it can overlay on something else. We want it to not be white. So I just took off this background. Now then, I'm gonna go to my crop tool. I'm gonna click on it. Oh, that's too much. I will just drag it to where I've got a little bit of space. I don't want it to be like too much on the edges, but I'm gonna do about like that. And I'm just gonna do image crop. Now, when I do that, let me clear my guide. I go into window or view, clear guides. That's how I did that. Cleared my guide, and I have this logo, and I had originally set it to be 400 pixels, which was a nice, easy number. But now that I've cropped it, it's not gonna be the same. So I go to my image size, and I look at it, it's now 382. Well, that's not an easy number for me to divide, so I just normally go back and make it back to the 400 so that I can divide that by 2, because once again, this is a Retina logo that we've created. So this is the larger logo. So I'm gonna go File and Save As, and then I go back over here to my folder, and so usually I just create a new folder just for the logos. And so I go Logos, and this one, since it's for the gorilla, I'll do Gorilla, and do that. And then I will do name it Golden Gorilla Bakery logo. And then it needs to be saved as a PNG format. We save it. All right. That was I should have said that was the Retina one when I saved that, but I'll do a File. I'm gonna say, oops, that's my bad. I'm gonna go image size, and I'm gonna half it now. So now my width is gonna be 200, and the height will be 74, but really the width is what I'm working on right now. Click on that, and then I do File, Save As, and I'll click on this Golden Gorilla Bakery logo, and I'm gonna say small, and then PNG, and then I'll click Save, and then click OK. Now I'll go back over here to my folder, to my logo. I will make sure that this, just for ease of remembering later, I want to make sure that I know which one is the Retina. And another thing that these themes take into consideration is also how your site is going to look on your mobile view. And of course, that's important since so much of our websites now are viewed on mobile devices. So I will go back to my website now. I've got this Aveda Bakery theme, and I want to make it look totally different. So I'm logged in, and I go up here to Aveda theme options. And once again, if you're not logged in, so if I was to go here and I logged out, and you really want to log out? Yes, I do. So I log out. I just want you to see what your options are once you log in. So I'm just going to choose this since it has my password saved for me, make it faster for everybody. So here I am on my site. This toolbar up here allows me to do quite a bit, but what I want to focus on right now is this Aveda, and I go down here to theme options. So you'll notice that now I have a toolbar over here. This toolbar right here applies to WordPress, and some of the themes options are here as well, but this is mostly dealing with WordPress. Then these Aveda themes right here where it says theme options, it is all focusing on the theme. So we suddenly have a whole bunch more stuff to deal with, and it can get very complicated very quick. But we're gonna start and break this down in pieces, and we're gonna make it simple. So I'm gonna go in here and change out the logo. Notice that they have all these logos in here for the theme template, the demo. So I just start removing them. When you remove like this first logo, it removes the second one, and I don't know why they do that. I want to click remove on all of them. So it looks like the other one disappears, but it comes back. So I click upload, I click select files, and I go here to the logos Gorilla folder, and the first one is going to be the smaller logo. So I choose that, and you'll see that all those pictures and stuff that were in there for the demo are right here and accessible. So this is a great little media upload area for us. And I'll be honest, sometimes there's images that come with a demo that I might still modify and use. Nothing says that you can't. Whenever you're creating and uploading an image, you want to make sure that you add your alt text. And so this alt text is over here. I'm going to put in Golden Gorilla logo. And the reason that is important is for SEO purposes, Google likes to have alt text in their alt tags. And so we make sure that we name everything so that people can find our content. And that Google gives us a better score. So that is installed. I started to check down here because sometimes there'll be an option here for different sizes, but we want to make sure that we upload it at the full size. So click select there. Notice that the other logo is back. I just remove it and I click upload, and this is the Retina logo. So I choose upload, and then I upload here. And then I choose my Retina logo. And then I do the same thing, Golden Gorilla Retina logo for the alt text. Click select. And before I even start messing with my sticky header logos, I don't even know if I'm going to choose to use a sticky header right now. We'll get to that. But I'm going to save these changes. And the reason that I do is I want to make sure before I go any further that this is a good size logo for what I'm doing. So I click over here. I'm going to get a preview of it and see if it looks good. All right. See, I love that size. It's subtle. It's simple. It's a good size. Now, you might have thought that Retina looks so much bigger. What that's doing is it's actually making a really crisp, clear logo for us. Now that we got our logo added, we'll add the sticky header logos, and then we'll move on to the next part. Once again, you can get to this multiple ways. If you go to Aveda and you're here, then you go down to your theme options. Sticky header logo. I'm going to make it the same size. Keeps it simple for me for now. And then I'll remove this one and upload the Retina logo. So once you have those two, now my mobile logo, it's going to do the same thing. And when I'm just starting out, sometimes I'll just put in the same logo as well. And if it's too big, I can change that later. But for now, we'll just put the same logos in there. And depending on your logo shape and size, sometimes for a mobile logo, I might put just the gorilla and then put, GGB or something and keep it much smaller. Kind of like with Apple, all Apple uses on their website is just the Apple. And so on a mobile site, if your logo is distinctive enough or there's an element of it, you might be able to just get away with using just a piece of it. So that gives you that option there to do that. So that is how you change out a logo, and that is one of the most crucial parts, I believe, to building your site because it's foundational. Everything else, I feel like, springs off of or launches off of creating a really great logo. So we'll stop here and then we'll get ready for our next part.